For several years Mr. Williams worked for the museum at the University of Oxford, enlarging its already famous collection of drawings and pictures of English country houses and churches. It's hard to imagine anything less alarming than collecting pictures of houses and churches, but Mr. Williams found that even the peaceful work had its unexpected dark corners. He bought many pictures for the museum from the London shop of the Mr. Bicknell. Twice a year Mr. Bicknell sent a list of pictures to all his regular customers, who could then choose which pictures they wanted to look at before deciding whether to buy. In February 1895 Mr. Williams received a list from Mr. Bicknell with the following letter: "Dear Sir, I think you might be interested in the picture November 1878 in our list, which I will be happy to send to you if you wish. Bicknell." Mr. Williams turned to the November 1878 in the list and found the following note: "November 1878, items unknown, picture of an English country houses, early 19th century, 25 centimeters by 40 centimeters. I did not sound very interesting, and the price seemed high. However, Mr. Williams added it to the picture that he asked Mr. Bicknell to send to him. The picture arrived at the museum on Saturday afternoon, just after Mr. Williams had left. They were brought round to his rooms in Colleague so that he could look at them over the weekend. Mr. Williams found them on his table when he and his friend Mr. Binks came to have tea. Picture November 1878 showed the front of quite a large country houses. It had 3 rows of windows, with the door in the middle of the bottom row. There were trees on the both sides of the houses and a large lawn in front of it. The letters AWF were written in the corner of the picture. Mr. Williams thought that it was not very done, probably work was a mother artist, and he couldn't understand why Mr. Bicknell thought it was worth £20. He turned it over and saw that there was a piece of paper on the back with part of a name on. All they could read was the answer of 2 lines of writing. The first said, "Ingley Hall," the second, "Sex." Mr. Williams thought that it would be interesting to see if he could find the name of the house in one of his guidebooks before sending the picture back on Monday morning. Meanwhile, he put the picture on the table, lit the lamp because it was now getting dark, and made the tea. While they were having tea, his friend picked up the picture, looked at it, and said, "Where's this house, Williams?" That's just what I was going to find out," said Williams, taking a book from the shelf. "If you look at the back, you'll see it's something, only either X's or sexes. Half the name's missing, you see. I don't suppose you recognize the house, do you?" "No, I don't," said Mr. Binks. "It's from Bicknell, I suppose, isn't it?" "It's for the museum." "Well, I would buy it. The price was £2, replied Mr. Williams, but for some reasons he wants £20 for it. "I can't think why. It's not a very good picture, and there aren't even any figures in it to make it more interesting." "I agree it's not worth £20, said Binks, "but I don't think it's too bad. The light seems rather good to me, and I think there is a figures here, just at the edge, in the front." "Let me see," said Williams. "Well, it's true the light is quite well done. Whereas the figures—" "Oh, yeah, just had, in the front of the picture." And indeed there was, right on the edge of the pictures, just the head of a man or a woman who was looking towards the house. Williams hadn't noticed it before. Still, he said, "that it's better than I thought at first. I can't spend £20 on the museum's money on a picture of a house I don't even know." Mr. Binks, who had some works to finish, soon left, and Mr. Williams spent the time before dinner trying to find the name of the house in his guidebooks. "If I knew the letter before the Angeli," he said to himself, "it would be easy enough, but there are many more names ending in Angeli. Then I thought. Dinner in Mr. Williams' Colleague was at 7 o'clock, and afterwards a few of his friends came back to his rooms to play cards. During a pause in the game, Mr. Williams picked up the picture from the table without looking at and passed it to a man named Garwood, who was interested in picture. Garwood looked at and said, "This is really a very fine picture. You know, Williams, the light is very well done, in my opinion, and though the figures is rather unpleasant, it's quite interesting." "Yes, isn't it?" said Williams, who was too busy giving drinks to his guests to look at the pictures again. When his visitors had gone, Williams had to finish writing a letter, so it was after midnight before he was ready to go to bed. The picture lay face upwards on the table where Garwood had left, and as Williams was putting out the lamp, he saw it. For a moment he was too surprised to move. Then he slowly picked up the picture and set it at an corner. In the middle of the lawn, in front of the unknown house, there was a figure where had been no figures earlier. It was crawling on hands and knees toward the house, and it was covered in a strange black garment with a white cross on the back. After a second or two, Mr. Williams took the picture by one corner and carried it to an empty room. There he looked it face downwards in the cupboard, then closed and locked the door of the empty room. He went back to his own room and locked the door behind him. Before going to bed, he sat down and wrote a note describing in details the extraordinary change in the picture since he had received it. He was glad to remember that Mr. Garwood had looked at the picture earlier in the evening, and also seen a rather unpleasant figure. He decided that in the morning he must ask someone to look carefully at the picture with him, and he must try very hard to discover the name of the house. He would ask his neighbor, Mr. Nisbet, to have breakfast with him. Then he would spend the morning looking for the house in the guidebooks.